Welcome to the Compass Method, powered by Purpose and Plants, where science meets soul and thriving begins when you find your true north. Hosted by Dr. Yolanda Rivera Codile, a double board certified physician, mother of three, and founder of the Tiny Beat Lifestyle Medicine and Pediatric Clinic, and
Chelsea Dye, a certified lifestyle medicine coach, wellness strategist, and creator of Alchemist Untamed. This show brings the real science to real life, powered by our passion project, Purpose and Plan.
Each episode explores how small shifts in food, movement, mindset, and family life can create massive results. Together, Dr. Yolanda and I share a compass for better life, a grounded guide to plant-forward health, brain-body balance, and modern motherhood.
From pediatric wellness and family health to neuroscience, nutrition, and mindset mastery, we will help you pause with a purpose, align your habits with your values, and rediscover what it means to thrive.
Powered by Purpose and Plants, because thriving begins when you're powered by Purpose and Plants. Hello, and welcome to the Compass Method. I'm Chelsea Dye.
And I'm Dr. Yolanda Rivera Codile.
And together we are bringing you tips, tools, and tricks to make your life healthier and happier, one step at a time, using your true north as your guide, the compass. So today is part 2 of our anxiety episode, and who knows, we may even have a part 3.
Yes.
But we want to do a quick recap of what we talked about in part 1, and you'll see in the show notes, you can link to part 1. But we talked about the foundation, the component of, or the biological component of anxiety, really what happens in our brain, rather. And so one thing that I think we would like to start with is anxiety is not only an emotion. It's biology doing what it's intended to do. Although sometimes it gets confusing because anxiety creeps in when your biology does not intend it to. Mm-hmm. And then a certain amount of stress, and when we talked about in the previous episode, a certain amount of stress is actually okay for us. Stress.
It's important.
Yes.
It's important. It keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And helps us to become adaptable. Mm-hmm. Low-level chronic inflammation, anxiety, or stress over an extended period of time is bad for us. And that is what we're looking to avoid, specifically the anxiety we're talking about today. So chronic anxiety is when your alarms become too sensitive, too frequently. It's like a smoke detector that goes off every single time you make a move.
Yes.
And none of us want that.
Yes.
And then sleep.
Yes. Sleep is it's one of the most powerful tools that we have, and underrated for many people. They think is I'll sleep when I die. And I used to live with 6 hours at best on an average basis, and I was like, I can function like that, until I started trying to sleep 7 to 8 hours, and that shift my creativity alone. It's such, like less stress. Your whole body is so grateful. So sleep is a powerful tool that is in everybody's. And then again, like we mentioned for kids, this is even more crucial because their brain is developing.
So anxiety is one of the sleep is one of the secret tools that we have to combat anxiety.
And we were just talking in the break how everything is about learning to use the tool that God gives us a lot of tools that we don't even know how to use them.
So, the foundational tools in lifestyle medicine, which is where we both come from, community and connection, mindset, sleep, nourishment, and movement. That's my favorite one.
Yes.
So, and we didn't talk about that last time,
but
we will be talking about that today. Those are all tools that are within, regardless of how much money you have. Those are things that you have at your fingertips to utilize. Connection is another thing that we want to lay forth before we dive into some practical tips and tools. Connection is biology, relationships, and having a community connection is crucial and essential for keeping your anxiety at bay, but really a long life.
And it's the number one thing that the blue zones have. They've had a community with a lot of connections. They're not, these individuals live longer, mostly because they have these connections with different people, and they're not alone. They're not feeling lonely.
And the happiness hormones that you have when you come together in community and in connection are enough to help your nervous system and your brain become less chronically anxious and stressed.
And in the world that we live, that, for example, I advise anybody that feels like they need, that this is something that they cannot manage on their own, definitely look for a professional to help, because that's what they are for. But sometimes it's hard to find because of finances or whatnot. But having a person to talk to about these feelings is a little bit easier. Sometimes people don't give the right advice. And if that's the person that uses your gut feeling and that person makes you feel worse than before, then you might just keep looking. There might be either a community, a group, a church, something, but just keep looking. Don't think that because you've tried and you haven't found that there is nobody out there to help you.
Well, and one thing that is so powerful is, as we say with every episode, the power of the pause. So taking a moment to acknowledge, since we're talking about anxiety today, acknowledging that your emotion and your body your emotion is connected to your physical experience. So your heart might be pumping, and you might feel anxious, but just acknowledging that and then looking back on episode 1 to see some of the script more or less that we provided is really helpful as well. But you can say, my body is activated now when it comes to anxiety, and then determine where you want to go from there and figure out what your real story is. So let's build the framework for calming your nervous system, some of the foundational solutions.
Nutrition. Let's start with nutrition. We always like to nourish our body with is a plant. Our body is a little plant that needs nutrients. And the stuff that is, for example, let's take white flour. Things made out of white flour. White flour was stripped of a lot of stuff, a lot of nutrients that our body needs, and it was stripped of fiber. So when we eat foods that have those nutrients, like, for example, the leafy greens, which a lot of people forget, and they're so powerful.
Well, before we go even into that, there has been a tremendous amount of research to indicate that those with anxiety often have nutritional deficiencies. So the ultra-processed diet,
which is not unusual.
The standard American diet,
sad diet,
can be contributory, just as we said, that it can create low levels of chronic inflammation, which exacerbate our physical sensations and then can make us feel stressed at level 6 in our bodies of anxiety, even though we may not be in a situation that warrants that level. So what you're talking about is so important, because feeding the base level nutritional foundation is crucial and essential for just being able to find longevity and overall health, but extra important for anyone that has challenges with anxiety or neurodivergent challenges, depression. So a calmer brain needs really good source of nutrients.
Absolutely.
Yes. Omega-3, iron, magnesium, zinc, B vitamins, selenium, those are all the foundational building blocks.
Absolutely.
And, recent plant-forward diet research shows that depressive symptoms can be lowered when a really good diet that has all these foundational nutrients is adopted on a longer term basis.
And if you think about it, all these things, like all these foods that provide all these nutrients, which are the same ones, the usual suspects, pumpkin seeds, legumes, quinoa, berries, oats. They're, if it's not, like we say, oh, I'm not anxious, I don't need to eat that. It's going to help your brain health. It's going to help help prevention of anxiety, of Alzheimer's, and your heart health. Anything that I've said that before helps your heart, helps your brain. It's the same thing, and
So the foods that we listed, again, let's list them one more time. Some of the most wonderful: pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax, walnuts, and leafy greens,
berries.
quinoa, berries. Those are just the basics,
Yes.
but those are not only good for anxiety, they're good for our gut, they're good for our heart. So there's no reason why everyone in your family can't add those to their weekly
They
or
great
daily
sources
list.
of protein and fiber.
And another,
In the nutshell.
yes, exactly.
Almost literally.
Yes, literally in a nutshell. Another thing is strategic eating and being really smart when it comes to nourishing really good meals throughout the day, and making sure that your plate is has the color and the fiber
rainbow.
and the protein. And we are both plant forward, and so you can definitely, or plant based, you can definitely accomplish this on a very plant forward
Absolutely.
diet. Yes.
Yes.
And so what else would we like to talk about?
Well, we mentioned about the breathing techniques before, but we need to remind people it's important to practice that at home when we're calm. You learn it for yourself and you teach it to your kids. A calm parent. I've had, for example, when I have to give shots to the kids, the parent that is anxious about it is going to transmit that to the kid. So it's important that we start with us, calming ourselves and understanding where we are. And that's why I like what Dr. Cindy Hovington, which we're going to interview here.
Oh, yes, we're so excited. Yes.
She teaches parents exactly that. This is, how you can do to calm in front of your kid. And it's not that we're going to be perfect. You're going to yell and you're going to get mad at them. But still, that doesn't make you an imperfect parent.
So one thing when it comes to breathing is you can even incorporate the positive nutrition and the breathing in one mealtime, where before you sit down and before you nourish yourself, taking 4 breaths where your inhale is 4 counts and your exhale is 6. Whatever breath work you decide upon, just look to have something where your exhale is longer in order to calm your system. Even if you were to do that every single day before you have your meal that you have with a family or by yourself, if you're dining by yourself, that's super powerful way to start to teach your body. And then that will be something that you can call on at a moment's notice, even before it'll become routine. So then we'll be able to create it.
It's already a tool.
Yes, that you can pull out of your toolkit.
And I like that you mentioned that before going to eat. I mean, a lot of people pray before going to eat, but it's great to incorporate that right before praying. We get into the mode that this is a calm mode. It helps digestion and it helps the moment on the table, like that dinner time.
Well, and from an anxiety standpoint, because that is what this topic is about. Often, if you know you're going into an anxious situation where let's say it's a meeting that you have every week, and you get anxious before it, finding a way to schedule that breath work and that grounding. Or that movement, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because movement is medicine, before you do that is a good way to take your self out of that high alert state.
Yes.
And even if you get into it, you're more inclined to be able to step out of it and work into the prefrontal cortex.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember when I had to see 40 patients a day, sometimes, people get very angry, understandably so, because they waited a long time. And sometimes somebody tell me, oh, this parent is very mad. Or, there are certain circumstances that I had to tell by news or something like that. So right before I would get into that room, I take a deep breath. I would pause. Even though I was running behind by 2 hours, I still had it worked. Take a deep breath. When and it was happened when I grabbed the handle of the door. Okay, I can a little prayer and a little cheer me up moment. It made such a difference the way that I was able to deal with that because, and I didn't know that back then, I was engaging my thinking, my wise brain to help me out. I mean, aside from asking God to be there too.
Yeah.
But it was such a powerful thing to do. I didn't do it all the time because I was running like chicken with no head. But there were times that I was like very conscious that I tried to do it all the time, but yeah, it didn't.
Well, and then that those daily levers, when we can identify them, the food component, so really doubling down on a consistently good diet. There are many people that will be good for a couple of days and then decide that they are going to have cheat days. I think that you should enjoy what you're doing, but I think when we take the question, when we reshape the question, am I eating something that's good for my brain, that's good for my body? And if you have that extra level of anxiety, am I eating something that's going to make me more anxious? Can I share something about a young person? So I know this one particular young person who is always anxious. And I happened to see that this one particular young person had an energy soda that had 220 milligrams of caffeine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, was their second one, and a bag of chips with food coloring in them. Then I had a conversation with this person who is reasonable and really an intelligent young teenager. And I just said, how do you expect your body to respond if you are giving it signs that you're giving it poor nutrition and then you're also feeding it things that are going to make you more anxious? And I was so happy to see that the next time I saw this young woman, her decision was slightly different, not that much better, but at the same time it's increment. Yes. And there's no judgment, but just noticing those little things.
And then they must start
important.
noticing, yes, it's right. I've always liked the analogy that I can't remember which doctor from ACLM mentioned. We have what is a nice car? I don't know, a Ferrari. This is what our car is. We have
our body is a Ferrari.
Our body is a Ferrari.
Yes.
And when you put gasoline in that car, you're not gonna put Coke, you're not going to put milk in that car. You put the best gasoline you have so that it performs excellent. Otherwise, you're going to mess up the car. It's no different. Right. Our body, we have this magnificent tool, instrument, like car, whatever, or a plant. You're not going to put milk in a plant or, Coke or whatever. Yeah. Maybe Coke, it might be better. But what I'm saying, you're gonna nourish. You get what you get, and knowing this is so powerful. This kid might start learning. Okay, it does make a difference. I feel more calm now. In that energy, I can use it to perform better.
And from also adults need to look at that as well. And what am I, before I feel chronic anxiety, or before I experience anxiety, let's look at what I've done leading up to that point. But then let's say you have an episode where you have tremendous anxiety, just without judgment, from a bird's eye view, say what happened before that? Oh, right. I had an espresso, or I had a latte that had 4 full shots of coffee. Caffeine is one of those things that I think people don't even realize can make you overstimulated.
And it's interesting because this is your body reacting to the caffeine. It's not that you're anxious itself. Your body's heart rate is going crazy because of the caffeine level and whatever other things that are in that drink. But this is not that you're anxious because somebody's chasing you. It's your body telling you, oh, okay, my heart rate is fast. Oh, okay, I understand. And understanding that concept is not that I'm anxious. It happened to me one time that I probably mentioned it before, that I was working in Miami, and this in Miami, the cafecitos, the little shots of espresso. I mean, this place that I was working, it was like if somebody will pass them, it was delicious. And one day, for whatever reason, she had more time in her hands, and it passed more times than not. And like at 3 o'clock, my heart was gonna come out of my chest, and I'm like, why am I so anxious today? Why is it? And then I saw her again. I was like, you are the reason that I'm feeling like this. But it didn't make the connection until okay, so it's not that I'm anxious, it's my body is reacting to this level of caffeine.
So then let's look at the pattern component of things, because when we look at certain patterns that might lead to overly stimulated, overly engaged systems that then potentially can push you into an anxious state or elevate your anxious state. Things like lack of exercise, poor nutrition, poor sleep, which we mentioned, too much stimulation in one way or another, not breathing properly, and dehydration. Those are all things that, and often we have these patterns in our lives that we create where we get up in the morning and
all of them at once. Yes, in a single day.
Yes, exactly. But if you even look at your routine where you are setting yourself up, one might be setting themselves up for a higher anxious state without even realizing, by not hydrating first thing in the morning, by having too much caffeine. And so those patterns, when we recognize them, we can look to change them and recreate them in order to support something that creates more calm.
Two things that come to mind. One of them is, I don't want people to believe or understand or think that we are perfect and we don't do any of these things. And because I am a work in progress until the day I will continue to be at work until the day I die.
Me too. That's like my mantra.
And this is why I love these things. I love to learn new things and try new things. And sometimes, I've done all these things in a single day. It reminded me also when you were saying about the caffeine, how it's such the coffee pot, it's in the workplace, is there for people to be drinking through the day. And when my daughter was living in Italy, they said, let me ask you something. Is it true? I mean, they couldn't believe that this is how it was. They thought it was like in the movies. Is it true that people are constantly drinking coffee? Because they have their espresso, but they're like, they don't even sit down to have the espresso. And like, if they have that and then they would continue. It's not like all day long drinking coffee. And she said, oh, yeah, it is like that. So people are actually walking with their coffee all day long. And she's like, yes. So, and then you don't realize that some people are more affected than others.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's just learning what works for you and trying different things. Experiment. See, this worked, this doesn't work. Oh, boy. Well, it's not working for me.
And you're touching on the component of curiosity, which is really super important. So noticing too, as I mentioned in the beginning, movement is medicine. And one of the biggest shifts when I really learned how to step out of anxiety on a regular basis, the catalyst was my ability was actually a yoga practice. I was introduced at a really young age by a priest, no less, to yoga.
So
I know. And so my very first class, I probably took classes when I was younger with my parents, but my very first class as more of an adult, 15-year-old, in fact, so not quite adult, it was gentle yoga taught by a priest at a community center, and breath work was the majority of it. There was movement. It was slow. It was not, a vinyasa, but when I left, what I realized was the combination of the movement, the strategic movement, and the breath work was enough to turn on a light bulb in my brain. And that was the beginning of my yoga journey. But then more than that, it was my ability to realize that I have that tool at my fingertips anytime I need. So
exactly.
It doesn't have to be yoga.
Such a powerful thing.
No, yes, even walking. And the fact that you can do a 15-minute brisk walk, and it can promote the BDNF, the brain-derived nootropic factor, right? The BDNF, even a 15-minute walk can
Yes.
allow you to go out of come out of anxiety.
And two things about that. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, but I have to do it because it happened to me. Like sometimes I'm working or like like have to do this and this, that. But just doing it like this morning, I had a chance to do it. And two things. I used to do it with listening to a podcast or something like that. And
You used to walk.
with a podcast. And then I realized one day, it was a beautiful day, an unusual windy day. I think it was April last year. And I was like, no, I'm not going to put anything. I'm going to enjoy this with my senses. What a powerful thing it was. Just what about the grounding, exercise. I was trying to listen, to pay, every time I take a corner, I was like, I'm going to use my senses of hearing. I was listening to the birds, I was listening to the wind, I was listening to, and then I was just looking, and then the feeling, I wanted to close the eyes, but I would have fallen. But it was such a powerful thing to do that. The smell was the other thing.
Forest bathing. I mean, that's a thing
that's proven.
Right. So it's become popular, but in Asian cultures, it's been one of the foundational traditions.
Yes.
And now we're adopting that. But we don't need to be out in the forest, just as you said. Even if you're just not listening to anything, I think from a safety standpoint, it's good for you to have your phone if you're by yourself.
Yes. No, I have my phone, but I wasn't listening to it.
But at the same time, just getting out there and moving your body.
Yes.
And that can be something that can help you come even 15 minutes.
And if you do it with a friend, then you have the community aspect and you have the walk. And you keep being curious to look at what works for me and what not.
Well, and that also goes back to the tracking your mood and your anxiety when it comes to your sleep. And I am like a broken record when I talk about my tracker.
Continue talking. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's when I saw
an eye-opening.
Yes, I had another epiphany when I started to track my sleep and realized that I don't struggle with anxiety the way that I used to, but it still creeps in every once in a while. But most of the time I can identify it really pinpointed according to things that have happened that are not situational, that are more like I didn't have enough sleep. I didn't get my deep sleep. I didn't get to sleep early enough. That's one thing that has a big impact on me. Do I go to bed early enough? So noticing that, but you don't need a tracker, just noticing.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Journaling is so good. It's, to me, I've done it on and off. I come and then like do it. And lately I've been going back to it. And it's such a powerful thing, either as a brain dump or just writing or both. Writing my blessings at the end of the day, it's a very powerful thing.
Right, the gratitude component. So, so to recap, we talked about how food, and specifically particular nutrients, fiber, healthy fats, omega-3, vitamin D, zinc, a whole slew of other nutrients that are found
rainbow.
The rainbow, that those are really important. Strategic eating, hydration,
Which is something people forget also.
Yes.
In my husband's case, all the time.
Oh, for sure. And your body can feel stressed when you're dehydrated. That's something that we tend to forget. And caffeine dehydrates us as well. So watching what happens when we caffeinate, paying attention to our patterns and maybe making some slight shifts in order to promote a life that supports less anxiety.
Remember to pause.
The power of the pause, getting out there and moving. 15 minutes is all it takes. Do 15 minutes of yoga postures. I'm a big proponent of longer. And weight training, as Dr. Yolanda is as well. But from an immediate standpoint, if you can work in 15 minutes before or after a potentially stressful situation, that is magical. Looking to community for support.
Yes.
Tracking your sleep, being curious, and making tiny shifts to find your big progress when it comes to getting out of anxiety. So is there anything else you want to add?
No, just stay curious. Don't, just continue.
And now, if
In
you would-
Spanish.
Yes.
All right. En español, para las familias latinas, estamos hablando de la ansiedad, la segunda parte del programa de la ansiedad, y estamos hablando de soluciones. Y las soluciones más que funcionan mejor, que se ha probado, es de lo que hemos hablado anteriormente. Cosas que benefician el cerebro, al igual que el corazón, el cuerpo completo. Es dormir. Y dormir ayuda a manejo de ansiedad de muchas maneras y ayuda a la digestión. Por ejemplo, ayuda a que comamos menos comida chatarra. Comer una variedad de alimentos que sea comerse el arco iris, que tengan muchos nutrientes, especialmente de colores verdes, fabuloso, pero de cualquier color que le guste, pero que sea natural, que sea comida real, no de una cajita. También el movimiento. Chelsea mencionó cómo ella aprendió a usar la yoga para ayudarse a calmar de un padre cura, un padre que tenía unas clases de yoga. Y ella se dio cuenta cómo le ayudaba a bajar la ansiedad. Tratar de mantenerse más en movimiento y en contacto con otros seres humanos en lugar de las cosas electrónicas, que de eso vamos a hablar también. Pero se puede, lo que hay es que aprender y aprender a respirar y hacer una pausa para darnos cuenta cómo nuestro cuerpo está reaccionando a distintas situaciones en la vida. Muchas gracias.
So you have joined us once again for the Compass Method, and I am Chelsea Dye.
I'm Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Codil.
Don't forget to embrace the power of the pause, find movement as medicine, and celebrate in community. If you want to check out more about us, you can look at the show notes and watch us and follow us on purposeandplants.com. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Cheers.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.